All right, my cousin Dee Dee, who was my first student, art student that I taught to draw about 40 years ago when I was about 12 and she was 9, has asked me to show my favorite watercolor supplies. I have a link down below this video to a Amazon list that you can buy these supplies. This is the paper that I like to use. I use this because it's got nice thick paper that you can watercolor on and it won't get all wrinkled. This is a Ranger and it comes in 2 different sizes, 11 by 17 and this size, and it's just got this nice thick paper that's easy to watercolor on. If you do watercolor on a standalone piece of paper and then you want to flatten it out and frame it or something, you can take it to a framery, or at home you could use this Scotch spray adhesive and adhese it to a piece of cardboard or foam core, and then it will flatten out. You just spray this on the back and smoothly, and then smooth it down, and then you'll have a flat piece of watercolor. You asked me about these tubes of watercolor. I like this brand, Reeves. I use it with my students. It's cheap, but it's got really good vibrant colors. It's not toxic, so you won't die if you accidentally drink your water that you washed your brushes out in. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but these are the little squirt out things. You could squirt it out onto a throwaway paper plate when you're painting. Or I like to use a little tin. This is from Chiclet Gums or something like that I emptied out and stuck in there. You can use this side for your palette. You squirt each of your colors in, and then you let it dry. And then when you're out and about painting, or if you don't want to make a huge mess, you have this already prepared. You can just kind of spray it with, this is just a water bottle to spray before you get started, and you'll have your paint will be all nice and ready to go. So I like to use that. And I like to use a palette that I can throw away. And if you are doing a sketching ahead of time before you paint, be sure to have a white eraser so that if you want to erase some of your pencil lines, it won't smear. This is water-soluble crayons. I just use this like as if it's a palette. Yes, I do use a watercolor brush like this. You can travel with it. You put your water down inside the handle, and then when you're out painting, all you have to do is squeeze out your water. I've had this little tin of water-soluble crayons for years, and it's still going strong. There's a couple ways to paint with it. One key to watercoloring is to really get a lot of pigment on your brush, so you might have to go back and forth a little bit. That's not the only way to use those. You can also pick them up if you want to do really fast little sketching. This is just a different technique. You can color with them like this. And it just gives you a little bit more vibrant color. It's a lot faster. Tons of different videos online about how to use these. See, I have this whole collection of watercolor brushes. They're expensive. These water brushes. You can buy really nice ones, and I have some linked. You can buy student grade ones that are just kind of, might leak a little bit, but they do the job, and I have both kinds. I also have regular brushes. Special Effects, grass, comb, like you comb your hair. A comber brush. See, that's a comber brush. And also these little lettering brushes. These are called sword, like you're gonna stab someone. This is a sword brush, and it does lettering really well. So I have this whole little collection that I take around and use all these different kind of water brushes and regular brushes. My friend got this for me in Paris. It's a Faber-Castell water reservoir, so you can put water in it. And if you're out and about painting, I always take a little bottle of water and pour that in there while I'm painting. But anyway, that's nice to have a Faber-Castell collapsible. Of course, there is the watercolor markers. I got these for Christmas. I thought these would be like just so much fun. These are Faber-Castell. They were expensive. Well, they're no different than Crayola for children. These are water-soluble markers as well. But it also does the same. You can do exactly the same techniques with these cheap children's markers. Go like this with them and get a little pigment on there and brush with them like that. It's just a little different look. So there's all kinds of ways you can use these. But it always just ends up looking different. Actually, it looks pretty good. And then you can kind of mix it up with some other lines that are more defined with your brush. Of course, I have my old handy Watercolor palette that I've had for many years. This is still really nice to use. Before I got started, I would definitely spray, get them all nice and wet before I started so that they could get some pigment going. Same deal with watercolor pencils as the brushes. You can never get it completely blended. You're always gonna see the watercolor lines, but in the case of trees, that might be a good thing. Let's mix some blue down here in the bottom of these trees for the shadows. So there's all kinds of different watercolor pencils. I don't think it really matters the brand. I have an old hairdryer, and I have that plugged in, and I will just dry, and then I can put another layer on, and it helps it go faster. This is for when I go out into the outdoors traveling and I want to carry my brushes. I'll put in my little Altoids tin. I'll put in a few water brushes, a little spray of water, and I pour my water in there out of here. Get myself started. Just need a little water. And these are the absolute best. Very cheap. They're $15. And it has all of your whole fans of watercolors like this. I've used these all for 1.5 years now. They're kind of used up. This is a pastel arrangement, which I like because it's got a little skin color in it. So these are absolutely wonderful. They're very vibrant colors. I get them a little wet. It comes with a water pen stuck in right there. This is a little pad that's just like this that you can, wipe your brush so you can clean your brush. And then it's got a palette down here that you can use for your palette, for mixing paints. So these are great. Love them. These, if you can find pastel ones, I couldn't find these for sale anymore, but you might could find them in a different arrangement. They've just got each one with a little white mixed in, so it makes it more pastel looking. These colors are just really different. They're not as see-through, they're kind of cloudy looking. This is a nice little toolkit. I carry this with me. If you're ever watercoloring and you wanted to have the look of the pen marks around it, I do this a lot with my sketching. So if you wanted to sketch your tree first and then color it in later, which I do this a lot, then be sure that you're using a waterproof ink. If you do not use waterproof ink, and then you go into watercolor on top of it, as in this felt tip Papermate flare pen, this is not waterproof, but you can get some interesting effects going on with this. And it's kind of hard to find a waterproof. This is a Cerosa. So you have to look and see if the ink is permanent. If it's not, if it is permanent, then you can watercolor right on top of it and no problem. It will be beautiful and clean like this. However, if you watercolor on top of this one, your lines are going to smear. See, but if you're prepared for that, it can give you a nice little layer underneath of your shadows. And it's a kind of a cool look. So you would have to let this dry, and then you could come back with your color later. Or even now. It would just help you with the shading. This little packet of a roll-up pencil holder is great to throw into your bag if you're out and about and you're painting out and about. Learn to paint watercolor with 50 paintings. You could really be good by the end of this book. It just gives you all kinds of different ideas. I've done a few of these. I've never had time to go through and do them all, but so many different techniques. That would be a really good exercise to do. So anyway, there you go. There's my forest of ideas of trees, and let me put a little shrubbery behind here to tie this all together so it looks better before we depart. And hopefully you will have fun with your watercoloring. There you go.